Thank you so much for staying with us on Morning Spring. Right now, it is the conversation, and we are going to focus on, the situation at hand, talking about the treason charges against anti-protesters. What happens when you are not comfortable with the situation of things and you decide to take on one of your fundamental rights, which is the right to express yourself? These protesters went on the street with thousands of others across the state to register their dissatisfaction at the way things are going in the economy. There was anti bad governance protest some weeks ago that rocked the different states in the country, and some protesters were arrested and arraigned. Last week, Monday, the trial began for 10 or more people charged with treason in connection with anti-government protests that erupted last month over a high cost of living. And as we all know, treason is not just any charge. In fact, what I'd like to just give a background of what treason is the act of betraying one's country or sovereign by committing acts that harm or threaten the government, national security, or citizens. It is considered a serious crime and often punishable by severe penalties, including imprisonment or even death. Now, senior lawyers have waded into this conversation, asking the federal government to drop the charges against these protesters, as treason is a serious crime to levy against these protesters for just expression of freedom of expression, which is a fundamental human right of theirs. Helping us to join in this conversation and know what we have in our hands is a civil rights activist, Comrade OLOGUN. He's joining us virtually from Lagos State this morning. Good morning, comrade.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
All right, so let's just get to business. How did you receive the news of the federal government charging these protesters with treason, which is not just a small offense. In fact, it is one of the highest in the land. How did you take that news?
Well, thank you very much. And good morning to all our listeners of the world. When I saw the news of the charges by which those arrested during the end bad governance protest were charged to court,
Mm.
I literally wept. And I wept because of two things. I wept because I see that as retrogression in the supposed progress of emancipation of a country like Nigeria. I also wept because I feel that, contrary to intentions and hope, we seem to have gotten it wrong again as a nation. Look, the right to expression, free expression, and free association is one that is guaranteed exclusively and absolutely by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And in a democracy, it cannot, it should not, it never should not be an offense to be antagonistic to a government policy or to protest against what you feel is unfair, is inhuman, or is an infringement on your rights in the country. So if a people feel that the governance that they are witnessing is not what they desire, if a people feel they are not being properly governed in tandem with their hopes and aspirations and promises made to them, and they decided to hit the streets in a peaceful protest, because it is important to understand that that protest, except in some parts of the north, was not with violence. It was a peaceful one. And then a supposed democratic government wakes up not just to arrest them, but charge them to court for treasonable offense. It is not only heartbreaking, but it's a sign that we are going back to the dark era. In the days of the military, in the days of Babangida, in the days of Abacha, and a little under Absalam, The fear of what the military will do to you is one reason that Nigerians actually go out to protest, except for the very deviant ones. But we feel that under democracy, everyone should be free and should have a right to their opinion, to opinion of different, and even association are guaranteed by the law. But when a government, like we are witnessing under Ebola and Tinubu, take us back to the dark era of the military days, in an attempt to dodge and to gag the mouth of people from speaking against it, it is worrisome. It is condemnable. And I hope that Nigerians will see beyond the parade and the tirade of this government. Because for me, what this government is trying to do is to practically prohibit every voice of Jesus, to ensure that people become scared to go out to protest against any of their plans, any of their programs, or any of their policies. I can tell you for a fact that the reason the government is going this far is to scare young people, except for the very, very different ones like some of us, to scare parents in ensuring that they do not allow their law to participate in protests going forward, especially the one planned for October 1st. Because how do you justify that the people that were not holding guns, that did not lay siege to the entourage or to the seat of government, are being charged with treason for doing nothing other than protesting against a policy that they feel is not in tandem with their aspiration as a Nigerian? It's quite unfortunate that the Bola Ahmed Tinubu that has been tagged a democratic fellow, that has been seen as the hope of a new order, would allow himself to use the instruments of the state to not only threaten, but to cut down on every attempt to call into question. I'm afraid that if we continue this threat, something is likely going to happen. And it's simple. Anyone that makes peaceful revolution impossible will make the other side of it, which may likely consume the movement, unavoidable. I hope that the fight of this will prevail. The charges against individuals will be dropped, not just changed, but dropped. And even they should be apologized to for infringing on their fundamental human rights as guaranteed by the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria, which the president was.
All right, it's quite a very sensitive one. And the reason why we're having this conversation this morning is to speak further, to look at both sides of the divide, because some of these persons that have been arraigned in court, actually, like 124 people were arrested during that End Bad Governance or End Hunger protest, as it was known then. And those 224 were arrested in Abuja, in other states, Gombe, Kaduna, Kano, and, some civil society organizations were part of that protest as well, but predominantly by individuals who felt and are still feeling aggrieved by what the policy, hardline policies of the government is making them to feel right now. And some of them even say it's not just about the situation of the country and the economic realities, but it's about the insensitive nature of the people in power that profess to understand what is going on, but their spending spree, in which you have been seeing, is not really encouraging and is getting so many persons upset. Now, those that were arraigned, like 10 of them, some of the charges against them, they were arraigned on September 2nd at a federal high court in Abuja, and the police announced the charge of conspiracy. These are some of the charges: conspiracy to commit treason, for attempting to destabilize Nigeria, seeking to remove the president, waging war against the government, and inciting mutiny, among other reasons. These are some of the reasons. But I want us to contextualize the conversation, Comrade Ologun. Now, in some of these, clips that we have just rolled out, we saw some of those persons some, in fact, not just this 10, by the way, many persons holding some flags that are not Nigerian flags. In fact, some called it maybe it's a Russian flag, maybe it's a military flag, calling. Some of them even spoke to it and indicated that maybe they want another persons or other individuals or group to take over the government because they feel the government of the day, in their own words, have failed. So if it's a call for the military by our rules and engagement of the law, by the ground norm, it is wrong. If it's the call to signify that, okay, foreign entities like Russia or any other country should come and take over, it is equally wrong as well. So how do we separate those genuine protesters who have the fundamental right of protesting and those who, at the same breath, held these flags, chanted anti-government songs, and called, really, a couple of them called, spoke on video to say maybe other persons or other groups, other countries, foreign nationals should take over. So we have genuine protesters and those who have these concerns as well. And you know, Mr. Ologun, no government. The government are saying we won't fold our hands to look at people that are calling for other interventions in the democratic rule that we have right now. So how do we juxtapose those two intentions?
It's very simple. The beauty of the law is the fact that it thrives on evidence. You don't go to court by opinion or by hearsay or by thinking. The law thrives on evidence. It is important to establish that. Now, I stand as a patriotic Nigerian to condemn everyone who attempted at denigrating the unity, the purposefulness, and the progress of this country by raising other flags other than that of Nigeria during that process. I stand to condemn everyone who fought or who was fought parading arms and ammunition during that process, because that does not make you a protester, it makes you a criminal. I condemn everyone who might have been found wanting in the call for the military to take over the hard-earned democracy as we presently enjoy. Having put those in perspective, the question now will be, those 10 or more that were charged to court with treasonable offense, intention to commit felony, can the federal government come to the court or come to the public opinion, court of public opinion, to show us where these individuals were caught either in private or in public, making demand for military takeover? Or can we see evidence of these individuals parading flags of other countries other than that of Nigeria? Can we see a plea where these individuals were calling for people to raise arms against the government? So if none of this can be presented, it is within the range of assumption to say that because they are leaders of one cell or the other, of one group or the other, they are automatically responsible for what other people were found doing. We saw the video. There were hundreds of people holding flags of Russia. At the point, one individual was paraded as being the seller that was producing the flag. And when the family came out to say that, look, these do not even know how, all of a sudden that went away from the news. We don't know what happened to that young man that was accused of doing what is the first one of an idea. So for me, if you are bringing to court people that you assume were leaders of the group or cells during the process, without a verifiable evidence of them inciting violence, of them calling for insurgents against the established power of the state, or they were not seen raising the flag of other countries, it is hasty generalization. and it is an attempt to guard the voice of people. So if today now I happen to be the admin of a WhatsApp group where people are being mobilized for struggle or for a protest, or I happen to be in Ibadan or in Osogbo, and I call for a protest in Nigeria, a protest happens in Abuja or happens in Calabar and it turns violent, you will hold me responsible for asking people to reject a proposal or a policy of government without being caught inciting violence or raising words or voices against the integrity of my nation.
Right.
They have been taken to court on generalization. And I can tell you that that is an attempt to create fear. Because the law in itself thrives on evidence.
All right. Comrade Ologun, by the way, you have been able to, to proceed some of the reasons why we are here. And it's good that we are speaking to what got us here, by the way, because the case is in court. And so we wouldn't like to go subjudice on the matter, how it will pan out. That will be the decision of the courts. But then, now, you have been able to, it stands condemned, those carrying other nations' flag and calling for military intervention, but the jury is out. And, some of these persons as well that we have seen in videos, these ones we are rolling, and other videos as well, they still came out. Many of them came out on the heels of End Bad Governance protests to do this. So that's when Nigerians are saying, how do you make the distinction? You have talked about evidence, by the way, and fair enough, that's the way to go. But I don't know, maybe you saw a video of some young persons, especially in the northern part of the country, who were destroying public facilities, who carried mattock and hammers and were destroying culverts on the road. In fact, there was one that climbed a traffic light post and was cutting, all these traffic lights and public infrastructures that we Nigerians are saying we don't have enough. And some of these individuals, we don't know who mobilized them or the intention for this, they still came out on the basis of protesting. Now, they climbed these facilities and they were destroying, intentional destructions. And these are the people that will still come out to say, we are protesting. So how do you, are you as a patriotic Nigerian, you always stand for democracy, how do you marry some of these connections? Because so many things really happened during that protest. Now, if some of these individuals have been apprehended and presented in court, you will say their family members, people from their community, Nigerians will be saying, these are protesters that were arrested for protesting. But in actual fact, some of them went on destruction spree. These are some of the matters, Mr. Ologun.
Let's put this into the clear perspective. And I'll be speaking with the benefit of hindsight.
Yes, please.
For every protest you see, there are 4 categories of people involved in such protest. Now, speaking because I know. There are those that sit down to identify issues that demand protests or that call for dissent. In most cases, these individuals do so with sense of patriotism, good intention, and an hope to make things better. But the moment the news goes out that a group of people or an individual case may be has identified reasons why government should intervene, politicians, being who they are, in most cases, politicians of opposing parties to the one in government will put machineries in place to either do 2 things. Either to buy over the organizers of the protest to achieve their own intent, but if they know that the organizers of the protest are sincere individuals that cannot be bought over, what they do is to organize other people to join that protest, to carry out their own intention, their own desire, and their own aspiration. And if care is not taken, on the day of the protest, you hardly will be able to differentiate those who are coming out with genuine intention and those who are coming out to serve political purposes. Because, like we say, the barricade has no order. The barricade has no seniority. We are equal. We want to get to the barricade. So the fact that I'm the one calling for a protest does not mean I'll be the only one to speak to the issue. That is true. The third group of people are those who take advantage of organized protest to loot, to steal, sometimes to even commit acts, knowing fully well that the cover of the protest is an alibi for them not to be caught or to escape judgment. And so they come on the guise of being protesters to carry out their sinister moves. And in most cases, they get away with it. Number 4 category of people are the government officials themselves. In most cases, the NSCDC officials, the police, and other security agencies that are supposed to be in charge of providing security for protesters. But because of overzealousness and in most cases, lack of understanding of the rule of engagement, we trigger anger among protesters, and then the whole thing goes out of hand. Now, those are the most categories of people you find during the protest. And you cannot say there is a way to control them, except one way. That is the place of intelligence. So I can tell you, judging from what was experienced during the NSAS protest, I recall that on October 20, I was on the podium addressing protesters with the then governor of the state on another vehicle on the other side. And I looked to my side of Old Garage towards OHIOLEI, and I saw men, numbering about 30 to 40, with guns and machetes in their hands, marching towards where we are congregating at OHIOLEI roundabout for the program. And before you know it, gunshots started flying, people were being macheted here and there, and the whole thing turned into a comatose. We ran away. See, today, even though they were captured on video, how many of those individuals have been picked up by security forces and prosecuted?
All right.
Whereas some of us were asking questions in police stations and military formations for weeks after that incident, just because we have a pay, just because we have a name. So what happened in the north, particularly during the end hunger and end bad governance protest, has an undertone of two things. Politics was involved. Some individuals saw it as an opportunity to make a statement against the government that they have a control of the structure of young people. By so doing, they indicated to do the unimaginable. And when you have people that are hungry, unexposed, and uninformed, they are already willing to, in the hands of those who have other intentions, beyond calling the government to order.
All right, comrade. So, in a nutshell, are you accusing the state government where these protesters are from? I mean, these 10 protesters were said to have been arrested in Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, and Gombe State, of looking the other way so that these young protesters can cause trouble in the state, making a statement to the federal government and to the international community that all is not well with the economy or situation in Nigeria. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The state government of those states are stoppable. The federal government in itself is stoppable. The state government is stoppable because it is either some members of the political class planned or connive with some people to cause that chaos, to make a political statement, or the state government looks away because probably they do not align with the party at the federal level. On the part of the federal government in itself, it failed to allow the Nigerian police force to engage protesters with the rule of engagement as acceptable by international standards in public crisis and social disorder. So for me, The state government and the federal government are both culpable for whatever transpired or happened in some states during the last national program.
Also, talking about this charge of treason against these protesters, some senior lawyers have waded into the conversation to call the attention of the federal government to what it is doing against the citizenry, calling the charge of treason as unseriousness and lawlessness on the part of the federal government. They say, in fact, I want to read the statement of a human rights lawyer, G.T. Oguneye, who says the treason charge against the protesters depicted the unseriousness and recklessness of the federal government, declaring that the security agencies were also treason happy. It says historically, every administration we've had in Nigeria since the colonial era has unfortunately treated decent and political opposition as criminal and treasonable, but they didn't succeed in the accusation. So we've had Falana also call on the Minister of Justice to drop the charge of treason against these protesters. We've had foremost legal practitioners also, call on the Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, and to drop the treason charge against these protesters. But it seems the Minister of Justice is turning a deaf ear to what these legal luminaries are saying.
I am particularly glad with the particular use of word by Titi Owe. He used the word recklessness of the state. There is no better word that fits what the Tinubu administration is doing. It is pure recklessness and abuse of the power of the state to charge your own citizens of treason for raising a point of this. And let me tell you, it might be the turn of those people today. It might be the turn of some of us tomorrow. Like we used to say, how many people soldiers will kill? No government since the inception of this country, or any country at all, has ever succeeded in trampling upon the rights of people and silencing the voice of reason. The people's voice, the people's opinion, the people's desire, backed by the grace of God, will always succeed. So if people are calling the government to reach it, and the FG acting on behalf of the federal government is turning the deaf ear, they are simply setting themselves up for evil that can be uncontrollable. And when that happens, it will not only consume the government, it will consume everyone that is attached to it in any form. The people's will can never be suppressed. The people's will always prevail. And the earlier they attune to the voice of the state, the better for this administration.
All right, before Femi comes in, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been touted several times as a huge Democrat. In fact, they said he was one of those who fought for democracy. Now he's at the end of affairs, and it seems it is not what people call him to be. In fact, I've heard arguments where people say that him being a Democrat is a facade, that he is autocratic, he is a dictator in a democracy setting. I mean, that's what the argument people put out there. And I would love your take on that. You have watched President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from the years of when he was a senator to being a governor to being, at the forefront of politics in Lagos State, even in the national space, to being a president. How would you rate him as a Democrat, with the situation of things we are seeing now?
I am not one that would deny anyone of the accolades. I am not one that will feather anyone for victory genuinely won. There is no way you can tell the history of democracy in this country that you can remove or erase the name of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. When the days were dark, it was there. The seeming emancipation that Nigeria enjoys today in terms of democracy, it was part of it in the Nadeko days. In his days as short as it was in the Senate, he was a voice to reckon with. that accolade remains it. That honor remains it. That feather to his cap remains it. And nobody should be attempting to rob him of it. But what do you get when you see people transform from being an agitator to holding office? What you see is that they become a monster, worse than that they fought against. In most cases, and not all cases. And this comes across all circles. We have had so-called comrades who are today members of the House of Assembly, members of the National Assembly, House of Rep and the Senate, some of them governors, and their action has no relevance, no bearing with the things that they stood for in the days they were agitators.
Right.
So for me, the thing comes to mind: power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Tinubu of the electoral days is not Tinubu of today. Tinubu today owns absolute power as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He must have forgotten that the layer that makes the scale is the layers of sweat, is the layers of application. So it becomes unfortunate that those that will expect wisdom from, those that will expect to raise high the flag of democratic tendency,
Right.
the flag of freedom, the flag of emancipation, are the same ones that are trying to drag everyone who sees things other than the eyes and principles by which they see things.
All right, comrade.
It's a lesson to us as a people.
Yes.
But Tinubu today is absolutely undemocratic.
All right. These are big words, by the way, because of the antecedent you have spoken to, and now is in power. But quickly, I take this as your parting shot, comrade. We're talking about the democracy, which is the government of the people, for the people, and by the people, being ruled by justice and equity. What is source for the goose, same thing goes for the ganja as well. So, many things happened during that protest. You agree with me? And one of the things that we saw, I want you to speak to as your parting shot, is the fact that when that protest was being expected and people are trying to group and people are talking by their minds, the date was approaching, and the day was approaching rather, we saw some persons, some groups of people went into a popular market, especially in Lagos, with megaphone, with public address system, threatening that anybody that goes out to protest will be seriously dealt with. The video is there. In fact, on our station here, we played it during one of our programs. They were threatening, if you dare come out, we will deal with you. We make you to see reasons why you should never do that in your life. The government is trying to do whatever they can do. They made a bad economy, and the government of the day is doing their best. If any one of you will try to come out, we will deal with you. And you are wondering, how come it's like some Nigerians are more Nigerian than another one? You are threatening me not to come out to express my mind, to express my fundamental right. And none of these persons have been paraded by the police for inciting violence or for trampling on other persons' rights. These are some of the issues. It appears maybe some Nigerians are more Nigerian than others. Do you agree? And I'll take this as your parting shot in a minute.
No, I won't agree. No Nigerian is, can, and will ever be more Nigerian than the other. Tinubu is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I give him his respect. But he's in no way more Nigerian than I have. Apart from the law that protects him and immune him from prosecution.
I'm talking about hoodlums and touts who went to the street.
I'm coming to that.
Yeah, not just the president didn't do that. I'm talking about those guys. Yeah.
Let me tell you, one of the problems of the so-called leader is engagement of other powers beyond that of the state. When what we call the anti-state element, or you call them thugs, or what have you, that template was tested in Lagos, and without any apology, right from the days of Tinubu as governor, and it seems to have worked. But I dare say again that nobody ever succeeds in suppressing the unification of a people and the voice that is patriotic and reasonable.
Right.
So the question would be, where were the police when those individuals were threatening fellow citizens for not, threatening them not to come out to carry out what the Constitution guarantees them to do? The police looked the other way. And that is what we're talking about when we talk about the rules of engagement. I remember I was on this platform, your station, before that process, and you asked me a direct question. What should the government be doing to forestall that process? And I did say that nothing else would have worked other than engaging the public in sincere and truthful engagement.
Right.
Organize town hall meetings, look for opinion molders, people that people respect in the society.
Yes, comrade.
Engage them and equip them with information through which they can engage other citizens about what the government is doing. But rather than doing that, which would not have cost them anything or would have cost them less, they chose to put millions in the hand of anti-state elements to which and threaten their fellow citizens.
We have to go, comrade. Yeah.
How do you explain that a government that should protect the rights of the people is threatening them? It's quite unfortunate.
Quite unfortunate, especially with those non-state actors who appears to be having a field day. Some persons will say some of these guys are the ones who are threatening people not to vote for a particular candidate during elections, and none of them till now have been apprehended and paraded or prosecuted rather, for threatening the peace and the fundamental rights of people. Well, trust us to keep asking these questions. Whether you as part of the CSA or we as part of the fourth estate of the realm want to sincerely thank you, Comrade OLOGUN, for your time.
Thank you for allowing me to have the insight. Thank you very much.
All right, and trust us to stay on this matter. Is about this nation that will, should prosper, now and even beyond. This is where we put the brakes today. Join us tomorrow for another new edition of this program. FEMI Ojo is my name. Let me remind you, you could have a recap of this program on our YouTube channel and other social media handles of the station, Facebook, Instagram, and of course X, all at Western Spring Television. God bless Nigeria. Evelyn.
Yes, for me. My name is EVELYN. OHIOLEI. Catch you on Spring Trends coming right after this broadcast. Do not go anywhere.